Hi, my name is Gary Tucker, and this is Tuck Talk number 25. And I really wanted to do this one. This is called Dodging the Bullet, Death and Rebirth. As most of you know who've been following my videos, I knew that I had an imminent widowmaker heart attack coming because of my previous experiences. And I went into emergency on Monday. And I was horrified of the process. I know the institutional way, and I knew that without actually being in the process of a heart attack, getting what I needed to get, which was an angiogram to reveal the blockage I knew I had, was going to be difficult. So I went through the hell of doing what they do. They did the blood test to look for the enzyme, tried to see if I was having a heart attack or not, which of course I wasn't. They did the chest x-ray. I've had 100 of them. It's amazing they haven't given me cancer with all the chest x-rays they've done. And they gave me blood work, etc., ECGs. And in the end, the doctor comes and sees me and says, "Mr. Tucker, you're not having a heart attack." And I said, "Look, I never told anyone I was having a heart attack. I'm fully aware that I'm not having a heart attack. But what you need to understand is that I am going to have one, and I'm going to have one in the near future. And the surgeon told me that if I have another one, it will kill me. And that if they have to operate, there's not enough room to put any more stents and that I will die. So what I'm trying to do is avoid death. And I need you to understand me." And the doctor said, "Our protocol is to release you if the enzymes show that you're not having a heart attack. And the ECG shows that there's no erratic activity." And she said, "But I believe you. And I can see from your history here that you should know what you're talking about." And she admitted me into the cardiac unit. That was on Monday. Every day since then, I was told in the morning, "Okay, you're on the list. You should get in for your angiogram today." And as a result of the impending surgery, I wasn't allowed to eat, so I never got my breakfast. And then at noon, they'd say, "Oh, you didn't get in this morning, but you might be on the list for this afternoon." So I didn't get my lunch. And then the afternoon would go by and I wouldn't get in. So I'd be starving to death. This went on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and all day Friday. I lost 5 pounds. That's absolutely nuts. I was burning about 12 calories a day. They thought I was nuts in there. They thought I was absolutely crazy. I was walking 50 or 100 laps in the cardio unit just to keep my blood flowing. I wanted to be as strong as I could going into the surgery. I wanted to be mentally prepared. I wanted to be at peace and at ease with the world because I knew what I was facing. I was facing the end. I was facing my ultimate destruction and disappearance from this planet. I was facing death. And I had to get into a state of preparedness where I was willing to let it all go. And that's what death is, folks. Death is a complete and total acceptance of what is and a complete and total willingness to let go. And I had to get myself there because I knew that the odds were stacked against me. So Friday afternoon comes and goes. And at 5 o'clock, this strange call comes where they move me down to the operating room, into the pre-op room, and they get me all ready. Boom. I'm in for surgery. And I got a team of 6 doctors working with me. And an angiogram is usually a 15 to 30 minute process. These folks were there for 3 hours working on me. 3 hours. And you're totally conscious during this operation. They fed a stent, a wire stent in here through my wrist, up into my arm, and across my chest. And I had told them exactly where the blockage was. I knew it was in my LAD. I could feel it. The medical doctors had told me, "No, this is impossible. You can't feel a blockage. You don't know where it is. There's no way to tell that." And I said, "It's right here. It's right here." Well, it turns out that I was right. When they got in there with the camera, they were able to see that the blockage I had was in the very first stent that I had ever received. It was in 2005. It was an old style of stent, and it was in my LAD. I had had a widowmaker heart attack, and they had put in an emergency stent to save my life, and it was now blocked. The problem is, I've had 6 other stents put in since then, and there was just a wrecking yard full of metal and stents in there blocking their way. And so they're having an emergency meeting as a team, trying to decide what they can do, how they're going to get at this blockage, and what they could possibly do to help me. And so they began. And they began feeding a balloon and a wire and a stent into my heart. And what they do with these balloons is they need room to work. And they insert the balloons and they blow up your artery and they expand the artery. And man, does it ever hurt. And they started with that right away. And it feels like a full-blown heart attack. I can attest to that. For the next 3 hours, I was in as much pain as I've ever been in my whole life. And I was asking them for painkiller, and they were giving me fentanyl as much as they could. They gave me as much as they could without killing me. And it helped a bit, I guess, but it still hurt. And they'd reach a certain spot, and then they'd all gather as a team, and they're all worried and concerned and not sure what to do. They got to twist this way and twist that way, and they got to get through this stent and around this corner. And they're consulting with one another, and they'd come back and they'd try something, and they'd blow up another balloon, and the pain would intensify again. And centimeter by centimeter, they were making their way towards where the problem was. And they finally got there, and they had some newfangled stint. I don't know. They were talking about grand slams and 30s and all kinds of terminology that I don't know anything about. But during the course of the process, you know, you just gotta realize that it's completely and totally out of your control. You gotta accept it. And that's what death is. You know, I had to just die there on the table and let go of everything. I had zero control. And that's the definition of death. I had to be completely and totally willing to let go and put my fate in the hands of the doctors and the universe at large. They got their magical stent in, and they're really happy. This is supposed to be some newfangled type of stent. And they got the blockage out of the original stent that I'd had in 2005, and my LAD is now protected with a super duper stent. After 3 hours, they were high-fiving each other in the operating room, and I would have done it too, but it would have killed me because the wire was still in me. And they wheeled me back into the post-op, and it was quiet and it was dark now. Everybody'd gone home. These guys worked hours of overtime to get me fixed up. And I was laying there in my bed, and suddenly a nurse comes out of nowhere. It's dark, and she said, "You got some visitors. You got some visitors." I said, "Visitors?" And I said, "Let them in." Well, I've got a friend up island named Steve. He lives in Ucluelet. And it turns out that his daughter and her boyfriend, who I've never met before in my life, had come to see me, having heard that I was in hospital. And they came to the foot of my bed as I'm sitting there just zinging along on fentanyl and trying to deal with the pain I was feeling and just feeling so relieved that I'd got this the second chance at life here, you know. And these beautiful young people, they said, "Hey, we heard you were in here. We just wanted to come and help. We thought you might need a ride somewhere." And they said to me, "We don't have a car, but we brought lots of money if you need a cab ride anywhere." And I was just so touched, you know, like, oh my God, it just totally and completely restored my faith in humanity. And the nurse came over and said, "Oh, I'm sorry, guys, but we can't let him go until tomorrow morning." And they said, "That's okay." She said, "Well, it's going to be 6 o'clock in the morning." And they turned and said, "That's okay. We'll come back at 6 o'clock in the morning. And it's okay if it's a $70 cab ride. We'll get you where you need to go." And it totally made my night. And when they left, I was just feeling reborn. And I just began to examine all the miraculous outpourings of love that I've received this week as I've been bracing myself for this moment of letting go and not being sure if I was ever going to come back, you know. And right from day one, I entered into the emergency ward in my work clothes. I had nothing with me except my phone and no battery charger. And the very first morning, my friend Marcia from Ontario, she phones the gift shop and buys a battery charger and they bring it up to me. And I had my phone and my connection with the outside world was restored to me. My ex brought me 3 books and a beautiful double coffee and let me know that she was available to help me in any way I might need help. And one of my customers and her husband came and visited me for 4 hours. And they brought me a pad of paper and a pen. I'm a writer. What good's a writer without a pad of paper and a pen? And there was a multitude of these kindnesses that just kept coming my way. I had the guys that I work with were bringing me coffee and bagels because I was bitching about starving to death. And so many outpourings on Facebook and well wishes. And they gave me the strength I needed to let go. They gave me the strength I needed to die, to be willing to die. And that led me to a chat I had with the doctor in the emergency room after the guests had leave. The lead surgeon came to me and he said, "Look, Gary, we barely made it through that. That's as tough as anything we've ever had to do in the operating room, and that's it. You know, you'll never get another chance. But the good news is that we cleared it out. We fixed you, and that you've bought yourself, if you so desire, another 10 years of high quality living. You don't have to sacrifice quality of life. If you do the right things and do the medications that we've given you, and you don't smoke, and you eat right, there's no problem at all. You live into 65. Boom! Rebirth. Rebirth. Death and rebirth. Boom! I'm not going to waste that time. I've had friends that care about me telling me that, oh, you're on this earth for a reason, and that you're doing a lot of good for people, and that you need to write, you need to express yourself. Well, if those are my talents, then I give them up to the world, and I will be expressing myself going forward till my last breath. Everything that's left in this mangled heart of mine, anything that's valuable in my messy world of experience and life and crazy failures, anything good that I can pull out of all of that, I swear right now before God and all of you that I am gonna give it back to you in the most meaningful and heartfelt way that I can. I want to thank you all for being with me during this most difficult week. It meant a lot to me, and it provided me with the strength I needed to get through it. I've been telling people on Facebook this morning that I'm feeling great today. I'm not making it up. It's an absolute miracle. I went from just about dead to feeling completely and totally restored. I don't know how, but thank you. Thank you. And thanks for watching this Tuck Talk. Until next time, goodbye.